And we're joined by the minister himself, Mr. Abba Moro. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you very much.
Well, it clearly does concern everyone about the state of our prisons, because time and again we've had several incidents. It's either there's that external attack on the prisons, and then now you have this one within the prisons themselves. Now, different people describe it as different things. Some say it was prison riot, attempted jailbreak, but you were there. So, because when you said that some church tried to put some installations there without due clearance, other people thought, wait a minute, something actually is not connecting here, because the man in charge there also did say that he was seizing phones and trying to ensure that they comply with the regulations of what the prison should be. So, has anything changed ever since you made that comment and his?
Well, what really happened is, I think for purposes of clarity here, we must get it straight. One thing leads to the other. When prisons are attacked, the implication is that in confusion, there could be jailbreak. When there is a riot in the prison, the tendency is that some persons who have been waiting in the wings, trying to find an opportunity to get out of the prison illegally, will also attempt to run away from the prison. And so I think that it is a matter of semantics when we begin to talk about whether it is a riot, whether it is a break, or it is an attack on the prison. Be that as it may, a lot of things definitely are changing, especially since I visited Kirikiri on the outbreak of the riot and the attempted movement around the prisons. Immediately I got there, I gave firm instructions as to what to do. There is a problem with our prison system, there's no doubt about it. The man who masterminded the present impasse, one Dibia, a convicted armed robber, happened to be also the general overseer of the Freedom Chapel. And so I think what happened in the circumstances was that he equated himself to a commander of a sect, so to say, because he ordered a pastor from the town to come and install gadgets, fans, and loudspeakers in the church without clearance from the prison authorities.
The church, sorry, the church in the premises of
the church in the premises of the prison. Yeah, there are two churches. The practice hitherto had been that there is a Catholic church, then there is a Protestant church. So in this particular instance, it's the Protestant church that was trying to install this equipment in their church. But I went in there. We had loudspeakers there. We had fans there. And I tested them. They were functional. And so according to the prison officer in charge, he noticed a movement and saw a man with some packets of these fans and loudspeakers. And then he asked why. He was in the prison premises. It was at that stage that he requested that the man be accosted and the items seized from him. And that led to some misunderstanding because, of course, the general overseer saw it as an affront on his authority to order that this gadget be installed in the church.
That suggests, because there are those who have said if he gave that instruction for that to happen, it means that that has been happening, and that's why he feels, look, I've done it before several times, so why can't I do it again? Why should you stop me now?
Yeah, a lot of things had been happening in the place, no doubt about it. They've been using cell phones in the cells. It's not supposed to be so. If you saw the picture of what happened that day, there was a series of generators of various sizes seized from the prisoners that were brought in by their families. It's not supposed to be so. And I went in there, I saw a lot of items, clothing and the rest of them, in the prisons. It's not supposed to be so. So the very reason that these people saw the activities of Coyote as an affront to what freedom or whatever they characterize it that they've been enjoying is the fact that things had not been very well with the system in the prison. And of course...
Job of work for you and your ministry, because I'm happy that you have someone as good as the officer who's trying to change things. What has always been the norm, to the extent that people have cell phones? People can pass information to people outside and even instruct them to come with generators, instruct them to come install some gadgets within the prison.
Now, if you notice, I've been having a lot of running battles with established interests. When I came on board in 2011, as per the prison situation, one of the first things that I did was try to compare what we were having then. Even though it was obvious that what we're having in the prison in Nigeria today definitely does not conform to what we are supposed to have, even by mere going through the objectives of the prison system. And so I went to the United States of America, looked at some prisons there, went to London, went to Brighton prison that is partly privately managed. And less than 48 hours of that incident, I was coming from South Africa, where we went on a corresponding reciprocal visit to the correctional center in Bloemfontein that is privately managed on a PPP basis between the government of South Africa and the private organizations. And the whole idea was, how do we find answers to the problem of prison congestion, the decay in our prisons, and the non-working of our prison system in Nigeria to conform with international best practices? And so we've been exploring all these options. Even at staggering as the number of prisoners that we have in the prisons are, even as unacceptable as the congestion problem in the prison are, attempts have been made, like I said, to put what we have in our prison today in proper perspectives. When I came in, you wouldn't know who is where. Prisoners were lumped together, armed robbers, murderers and the rest of them, petty thieves and the rest of them, were all lumped together. And I took steps with the prison authorities to ensure that people are properly categorized. People are properly put in places where hardened criminals do not meet with petty thieves and people who are even falsely accused, who have no inkling as to what they have been accused of. And so those are the steps that we have been taking. And of course, these steps wouldn't go down well with the people who have been perpetrating this, who have been benefiting from the acts, the families of those who are involved, the inmates themselves, and of course, some of our unscrupulous warders who very easily also compromise on some of these situations. And so, for Kayode, it was a double problem for him. One, people who had been on ground there, who have been benefiting from some of these unwholesome practices, certainly were up against him. And of course, the prisoners who now feel that somebody has come to take what they assume, in quote, freedom from them, were also up against him. And that is what snowballed into the riot of Friday.
But looking at those, I mean, there were a number of generators there of different sizes as well, just as you talked about the warders, because it suggests that there's that collusion from within to have allowed that number of generators, I mean, look at all of those, to have access into the place. So is anything being done to also purge from within and get those ones who are collaborating with some of these prisoners to also face the music?
Yeah. We have had incidents in the past, and of course we can only deal with what we know. In Shagamu, for instance, when there was an attempted jailbreak, it was discovered that some of our officers, senior officers who should have given directions, who had given directives on the day of incident, were nowhere to be found. Very junior officers who couldn't give directives were on duty and on ground. Some of them resisting the attempt, some of them compromising in the process. And it is on record that some of the boys who have been found wanting in the process have been eased out of the service. In Wukari, we had incidents of officers who had compromised, who had assisted inmates to bring in telephones and other unauthorized items into the prison system. we had directed that they be removed from those beats and not given any command positions anymore.
Was it complied with?
Of course.